bay of this golf cart. This is a 1992 EZ-GO TXT that I'm just getting started on. There's been a cold snap here in Texas, so I haven't been working on it, but I will be here in the next few days, and I have the batteries for this. But I just wanted you to take note of the motor controller, the accelerator module, solenoid, all of the main wiring is right there in the middle of the battery bay. And so what I'm about to tell you, you'll maybe understand a little better. I've been buying and using EZ-GO brand batteries for right at 2 years now. This is not a paid promotion, by the way. Everything we're seeing here today was purchased and not provided by EZ-GO. I'll get you set back up here on the camera, and then I'll quit goofing around. I bought a set of these batteries almost 2 years ago for my own golf cart, and I was so very pleased with how they came out that I've done these upgrades for my neighbors here in the community, and I think this is, I don't know, this is number 5 or 6, something like that. And in each case I recommend to them that they go with the EZ-GO brand, and so far everybody has, and no one has been disappointed. So anyway, I just got these batteries in 2 days ago, and at least 2 of the boxes have a little damage on them. So I want to unbox these here in front of you, and we'll see how well they're packaged inside. And I would guess there's not a bit of damage to the actual batteries, but we'll just go for it. Then I want to share some data with you on one of the batteries. These are 12 volt 100 amp hour EZ-GO brand batteries, lithium iron phosphate batteries. I may do a voiceover on this later because I got noisy neighbors this morning. This box isn't really damaged all that much. Very well protected. So what's in the box? You got your silica gel, obviously. Get a product manual, and we'll go over this in a little bit. Battery. I could weigh these, but I have weighed them in the past. It would be 22 pounds. That's everything out of that box. And you'll notice that there is no damage. So they're very well protected. They do come with a, I don't know if you're in the screen or not. They do have a serial number, model number, serial number on them, so you can keep track of them if you buy more than 1 or 2. Specifications are listed on the outside. They come with 2 full sets of hardware plus battery terminal protection, and they also have 2 battery cables. These are quite well done. I've used these on all of my upgrades. They're about the perfect length for doing an upgrade like this in a golf cart. I mean, you could use these for trolling motors. You could use, I have a 280 amp hour that I use when I go camping, and they're excellent batteries. Never had a problem with any of them. We'll move on to box number 2. This one does have a little damage on the bottom. Product manual again. hardware and terminal protectors. No damage at all. 100% fine. Third and final box. And I don't know if we're in frame here or not. I don't have a very good camera, so I don't take the time to walk all the way around to the other side. This box had the most damage on one side. It got ripped open a little. Here's one battery cable so far. Some hardware and terminal protection. Product manual. And the second battery cable. This one, perfectly fine, no damage at all. Alright, now we're going to just run down the specifications for these particular batteries. Now, the reason I showed you the bay of the golf cart, EZ-GO offers single battery options. They have single battery 36 volt and single battery 48 volt for doing exactly this, upgrading these. But as you can see with the motor controller and all that stuff directly in the middle of the bay, there's just not room without doing a lot of reconfiguration. There simply isn't room to put a single battery in there, so the individual series of batteries, I'll put 3 of these 12 volters in series. That'll give it 36 volts. And we're going to go over the specifications here just in a second. Okay, I'm going to throw an electronic version of this up on the video. Well, I got noisy neighbors and a kind of a faulty camera, not a great microphone, and so it couldn't possibly be the camera operator is the issue. But anyway, I'm switching over to voiceover mode, and I'm going to provide you with the specifications on these batteries. Shall we? This is the EZ-GO 12 volt 100 amp hour battery. I've used these for every upgrade that I've done so far, and I think this is number 6. I always recommend to the owners to go with the EZ-GO brand. So far they have, and none have had a problem with it, so we're really pleased so far. The nominal voltage for these batteries is 12.8 volts. The cart I'm working on this time is a 36 volt unit, so it used a total of 6 batteries, with each one being 6 volts. It's interesting to note that the nominal voltage for flooded lead acid batteries was also very close to this 12.8 volt nominal voltage. I believe it is considered to be 6.37 volts for 100% full charge on the flooded lead acid. So if we think about how much that pack weighed compared to what you get with the LiFePO4 batteries, it's kind of a no-brainer as to which one's going to be more efficient. Whatever charger you end up purchasing to use with these batteries, it'll need to have a charge voltage of at least 14.2 volts, and 14.4 to 14.6 would be even better. This will ensure success in reaching 100% stated charge for a LiFePO4 battery. In all of the upgrades I've done so far, I've used the FormCharge brand charger. They come in both 36 and 48 volt configurations. I am open to exploring other brands, but these have been operating flawlessly so far and are pretty much bulletproof, or weather tight and so forth. So that in itself has instilled a lot of confidence, as far as I'm concerned, in their performance. All LiFePO4 batteries have a built-in BMS battery management system. As the folks at Logigy describe it, the battery management system is used to intelligently manage and maintain the unit. It prevents overcharging and excessive discharge current. It helps to prolong the overall service life of the battery and automatically balances the individual cells within the battery unit. So for these batteries, the maximum charge and discharge current needs to be at or below 100 amps. Opinions vary pretty widely on average cycle life full discharge, which of course on a lead acid battery would only be like 50 to 60% of the capacity to full charge. You can find numbers as low as 200 cycles to as many as 3,000, but I've looked through literally dozens of related web pages and I find the overall average to fall somewhere between 600 and 1,800 charge cycles. And this is obviously dependent on things like the battery brand, the type, the maintenance that it receives, ambient conditions, and so on. Suffice it to say that the cycle life listed here, 4,000 to 7,000 by comparison, is pretty amazing. Assuming you fully discharge every day and recharge every night, and assume the lower value is what you get, in other words, 4,000 charge cycles, that's almost 11 years. So I don't know. How often do you want to replace your batteries? Energy content is listed here at 1280 watts. While this is a good number, it's pretty common among such batteries. It's actually just a mathematical result of volts and amps. Ohm's law says that power, or watts, is the product of volts, which is 12.8, times amps, which is 100 amps. And in this case it works out to be 1280 watts. I have watched a number of videos on YouTube, however, that have shown the endurance test of these batteries as far as how much of a charge or how long they can run certain items at a given power usage level. And in each case that I've seen, they outperformed this rating by a few percentage points. Sometimes it's right on, and sometimes it's over. So I've not seen any fail such tests. The weight, Logigy says these batteries weigh 23.8 pounds or 10.8 kilograms. That's probably the case, but on my bathroom scale, it says they only weigh 22 pounds. So that's why I like my scale. It reads a little lower than maybe what actual gravity is doing to you. It's rated with an IP65 for waterproof rating, and so what does that really mean? IP breaks down like this, the IP rating. It breaks down, the IP actually stands for ingress protection, or the ability to prevent contact with dust, or in what they say call jets of water or droplets of water coming in from any direction. The 65 breaks down further into a 6 and a 5. I know, duh, right? But the 6 in this case is a rating against dust, and the 5 is a rating to prevent water intrusion. So is an IP65 mean fully waterproof? Well, they say never, and never say always. But here's what it means for the battery case. It is protected from low pressure water or dust encroaching from any direction. A little bit of rain, something gets spilled on the batteries, no worries. But if you tried to submerge the battery in water at some depth, there could be a little water make it inside. ABS plastic case. So what does that mean exactly? Well, ABS stands for a chemical name, and I can't pronounce it, but this guy can.
Acrylonitrile, butadiene, styrene. Acrylonitrile, butadiene, styrene.
Okay, and he does that so well. Anyway, it's a really tough engineered plastic that's used for way too many things to mention here. We see it every day in all kinds of uses. It's a pretty tough case. Battery terminals on these batteries takes an 8mm stud, and there are 2 full sets. There are a total of 4 8mm bolts that come standard with each battery. And also included is a red and a black terminal insulator to help prevent accidental short circuits or whatever. The M8 bolt takes a 13mm wrench to loosen and tighten. I'm always pretty amused when I see measurements like these. I do a lot of things with the metric standard, especially when I'm designing something to run on my 3D printers. But this is the USA, and like it or not, we use the empirical standard, and that doesn't include decimal values. So here's what they're saying the dimensions are for us US folks. 12.95 inches works out to 1 foot 15/16 of an inch. 6.77 inches is 6 and 25/32 inches, and 8.42 comes out to be 8 and 13/32 inches. There is a slight taper on these too. It's just a little smaller at the bottom than it is at the top, but not much. Recommended charging amps for these batteries is between 10 and 50 amps. I do use a 5 amp max LiFePO4 charger for doing the equalization charge on individual batteries, and I'll be talking about that more after this segment when I go back to the regular video. However, chargers that I've been using for these upgrades for the full-time forever charger generally fall between 15 and 25 amps. Usually the form charge chargers that I get for these owners is either 18 amps for 36 volts, or I think it's 14 amps, 13 amps, something like that for the 48 volt. But in this particular one, it's going to be 18 amps. If you were to use one of these batteries to power an inverter, and you know, an inverter takes DC voltage and turns it into AC house current, folks at Lossage recommend that you don't use anything more than a 2000 watt inverter. So what would a 2000 watt inverter run for you? Well, if you do the math in the other direction from what we just did earlier, that would be 2000 watts at 120 volts of alternating current, so it means a maximum of about 16.5 amps. That could easily run a refrigerator, a vacuum cleaner, several other household products. Inverters do come in higher rated wattages than 2000, but if you want to run more than the 2 kilowatts, you're going to need more batteries. Whatever you use a battery like this for, manufacturers say to keep it at or under 1000 watts of continuous load. That works out to be a maximum of about 78 amps. Yeah, that's not 100 amps that the BMS is rated for, but keep in mind that when you're continuously running high amps through a circuit, the result is heat, and the longer it runs, the hotter it gets. The folks here are saying that this unit is designed to handle up to 78 amps of continuous use without overheating. So fortunately, golf carts only use high amps during acceleration. Just cruising down the street on, if you got a fairly level street, you're going to use somewhere between 30 and 50 amps, sometimes less than that, just maintaining a speed down the street. So piece of cake for these things. And finally, we should talk about the temperature around the batteries and what that might mean to how they perform. Obviously, here in the US, we use the Fahrenheit scale. So Lossage suggests that we maintain operation of these batteries between 32, that's an important value, and 122 degrees Fahrenheit when you're charging. And if you're, as far as the discharging, you can go all the way down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit and up to 140. So you notice the low value associated with charging. Never ever try to charge a LiFePO4 battery when the temperature is below freezing. You're very likely going to damage the battery beyond use. A lot of manufacturers have a low temperature limit built into their BMS, so that the charging just simply can't happen when there's freezing temps sensed. But Lossage does not include that feature in their battery management system. So just know that if you're running a Lossage battery, don't plug it in to charge if it's at or below freezing. And then for storage, it's talking about between 14 and 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're parking your cart for a season or whatever, or putting it in the garage, just make sure you're not going above 122 degrees, because it will cause the battery to degrade over time. And that's it for specifications. I think that's all I got to share with you for this part. So let's head back over and watch the rest of the video, shall we? Equalizing charge. I've seen many descriptions of how this should go. All I can do is tell you what I do. I charge each of these. I slow charge them with a 5 amp LiPo 4 charger, so that it's the same charger charging each one at a time, so it shuts off at the same point. So I know when we're done, and then I verify that these are all within about 0.2 of a volt of each other. And then what I do is I connect these in parallel and just let the battery management system internal equalize, so that it becomes a battery pack. They're all equalized together. And that's not connected to the cart, that's just connected in parallel to let everything equalize. And I do that for at least 12 hours. And because one might be a little higher than the other one, and so there's going to be some of this charging, discharging, that thing going on until they reach an equilibrium. And then when that's done, typically I will leave them connected that way until I'm ready to put them in the cart. And when I do that, then I disconnect them, put them in the cart, and hook them up in series right away. And so at that point they become actually in this case, a 36 volt pack, battery pack. So anyway, that's the way I do it. I don't know, right or wrong.